Hey everyone, welcome back to See Your Dreams YouTube channel. I am Somya Agarwal and this is the part 4 of CARO 2020. So, in the last part, we have discussed the clause number 1 that was here about property, plant, and equipment. Now, we are going to proceed with the other clauses. But before proceeding, let me make you one correction. Uh, Please mark this as clause number 4 and mark the fourth clause as clause number 3. Okay, because the word advances is given in clause number 3 and the word investment is given in both the clauses. That is in clause number 3 also and clause number 4 also. But for advances, it is mentioned in clause number 3. So loans and advances is clause number 3 and investments is clause number 4. Okay, so let's start with clause number 2, explanation part. Now in this clause we will discuss about inventory. Okay, so we will continue with the same example. Our client is PQR Limited and we are chartered accountants. We are assuming that we are chartered accountants and we are preparing the audit report of PQR Limited. Okay, so we have to check that whether physical verification of inventory has been conducted at reasonable intervals by the management and whether in the opinion of the auditor the coverage and procedure of such verification by management is appropriate and whether any discrepancy of 10% of more in aggregate for each class of inventory were noticed and if so whether they have been properly dealt with in the books of accounts. First of all, I would like to explain this point in Hindi. If you are listening this in English then you can skip to 30-40 seconds. Okay, तो देखो इसमें क्या है, इसमें हम लोगों को ये चेक करना है कि क्या जो आपका मैनेजमेंट है, जैसे हम लोगों ने पीपीई वाले में भी किया था कि मैनेजमेंट फिजिकली वेरीफाई कर रहा है, इसमें भी मैनेजमेंट को फिजिकली वेरीफाई करना होगा कि जो इन्वेंट्री है वो वर्किंग मतलब वो प्रॉपर कंडीशन में है या नहीं. ऐसा तो नहीं कि उनके गुड्स ख़राब हो गए बट स्टिल दे आर शोइंग, वो फिर भी दिखा रहे हैं. ठीक है ना. और इसमें एक पॉइंट जो रिमेंबर करने वाला है वो ये है दैट यहाँ पर इन्होंने दिखाया था कि अगर फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन में कोई डिस्क्रिपेंसी है तो वो सीधा सीधा हमें रिपोर्ट करना है. और साथ में 10% वाला जो पॉइंट था वो रीवैल्यूएशन के टाइम पे था. लेकिन जो सेकंड वाला क्लॉज है ना उसमें इन्वेंट्री में यहाँ डिस्क्रिपेंसी में ही 10% और मोर लग गया है. ठीक है, तो मैनेजमेंट ने फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन करा, कुछ डिस्क्रिपेंसी आई 10% या उससे ज़्यादा में, तो फिर उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा, प्रॉपरली उन्होंने डील किया है या नहीं बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में, वो हमें एज एन ऑडिटर चेक करना है. ठीक है, सो इन दिस पॉइंट व्हाट इट इज़ गिवन दैट द मैनेजमेंट शुड फिजिकली वेरीफाई इन्वेंट्री एंड इफ देयर इज एनी change that is greater than or equal to 10%, okay, then you have to check that whether it is properly disclosed, properly dealt with in the books of accounts or not, because it is the duty of management only. Because it is possible na that you are showing means you are showing less inventory or you are showing more inventory, or the inventory which you are showing is not actually your inventory or it is not in a proper condition. So that is why it is the duty of management to physically verify, and in case if there is suppose any damage, or you can say if the company got any fire attack or anything like that, any mishappening had happened because of which the inventory was damaged, so that thing should be disclosed, that thing should be properly disclosed in the books of accounts. Okay, now the next point in this is about working capital limit. So what is working capital? Current assets minus current liability. This you all must be knowing. What is working capital? Current assets minus current liability, right? So whether during any point of time of the year the company has been sanctioned working capital limits in excess of 5 crore rupees. Now this working capital limit, it is mostly sanctioned by, means you can say given by banks or financial institutions. What do the banks or financial institutions do? They assess the company's situation and accordingly they assign a particular limit to the companies. Okay, so if at any point of time during the year, if any point of time, if the company has been sanctioned in working capital limits in excess of 5 crore rupees, that means greater than 5 crore rupees if the company has the working capital limit of greater than 5 crore rupees in aggregate from banks or financial institutions on the basis of security of current assets. On the basis of security of current assets means the company has, on the basis of its security, keeping its current assets as security, if they have got the working capital limit in excess of 5 crore rupees, then what you have to check? Then you have to check as an auditor. Now it is your responsibility to check that whether the quarterly returns or the statements filed by the company with such banks or financial institutions are in agreement with the books of accounts of the company. If not, then you have to give the details. ठीक है ना? What you will do, you will check that what all data was given to the banks or financial institutions and what all data is in the books. Okay, and if there is any difference in between, then you have to report it. You have to give the details. Okay, so what was in this point? In this point it is written that if the working capital limit is in excess of rupees 5 crore rupees and they have kept their current assets as security, उन्होंने अपने current assets को security की तरह रखा है और उसके बदले में उनको working capital limit मिली है in excess of 5 crore rupees. ठीक है, तो फिर उस सिचुएशन में आपको ये चेक करना है कि जो क्वार्टरली रिटर्न्स हैं और जो स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो कंपनी ने ठीक से फाइल किए हैं या नहीं, और अगर उन दोनों में कुछ चेंज आ रहा है बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स और जो स्टेटमेंट्स फाइल हुए हैं, इफ देयर इज एनी मेजर चेंज बिटवीन रिटर्न्स एंड स्टेटमेंट्स दैट वर फाइल्ड बाय द कंपनी विद द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स, देन यू हैव टू चेक, एंड इफ देयर आर डिफरेंसेस देन यू हैव टू गिव द प्रॉपर डिटेल्स. ओके, so I hope now you're thorough with the second clause. Now moving on to the third clause. In third clause, we are going to discuss about loans and advances. Loans and advances. So basically here are loans, advances, investments, security, guarantee. There are 5 terms given here: loans, investments, security, guarantee, and advances. Okay. So whether during the year the company has made investments in provided any or provided any guarantee or security or granted any loans and advances in the nature of loans secured or unsecured to companies, firms, LLP or any other parties. If so, now what they are saying, there are basically 5 terms here: loans and advances, guarantee, security and investments. Now what is investment? What is investment? I am investing in shares. I am investing in any stock. I am, I have opened some fixed deposit accounts. All this is investment. So whenever the company is investing somewhere, that will constitute the investments for a company, right? Now what is loans and advances? Loans and advances are that the company is giving the money. The company is giving its money to either any other company or any other firm or any other limited liability partnership. Okay, so to anyone, any firm, the company is giving the money. It's money. Okay, what is guarantee or security? Guarantee or security is like the company is giving someone any guarantee or is holding any security. So all these things are written here. Now what you have to do, if during the any year, if it is such that the company has made some investments or granted any loans and advances or is having some guarantee or security, so what will you do? Well, you have to check that whether during the year the company has provided loans or provided advances in the nature of loans or stood guarantee or provided security to any other entity. If so, you have to indicate that what was the aggregate amount and the balance outstanding to subsidiaries, joint venture and associates. Also, they have to show the aggregate amount during the year to parties other than subsidiaries, joint venture and associates. So what you have to do, you have to check that if the company has given loans and advances, guarantee, security to any firm, अगर कंपनी ने किसी को भी पैसे दिए हैं, कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है, सिक्योरिटी दी है, तो आपको क्या बातें चेक करनी है? एंड दिस पॉइंट इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल टू द कंपनीज हुज प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस इज टू गिव लोन्स, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली देयर प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस इज टू गिव लोन्स, सो इट इज देयर डेली एक्टिविटी. बट other than the companies whose principal business is to give loans, you have to check that you have to means indicate that what is the aggregate amount that is given to its subsidiary, joint ventures and associates, and what is the amount that is given to other firms other than subsidiary, joint ventures and associates. Suppose in our example it is written PQR Limited. In our example, the company, our client was PQR Limited, right? So if PQR Limited has given some loans and advances to its subsidiary or its joint venture or its associate, then you have to indicate that what was the aggregate amount and the balance outstanding to subsidiary, joint venture and associates. But if PQR Limited is giving loans and advances or is investing or is giving any guarantee to any other party, means any third party other than its associate, other than its joint venture or subsidiary, then the aggregate amount and the balance outstanding to them should be shown separately. मतलब कि आपको यहाँ पे दो कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करना है. जो भी पैसा कंपनी का गया है, अगर उसका अपने जॉइंट वेंचर, एसोसिएट और सब्सिडरी में गया तो उसको अलग दिखाएंगे, और उनके अलावा किसी को किया है तो उसका अलग दिखाएंगे. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इन दिस पॉइंट इज दैट whether the investments made, guarantee provided, security given and the terms and conditions of grants and the terms and conditions of grant of all loans and advances. Is it recording? Yes. Okay. Whether the investments made, guarantees provided, security given and the terms and conditions of the grant of all loans and advances in the nature of loans and guarantees are not prejudicial to the company's interest. In the first point we discussed that we have to indicate the aggregate amount to both the you can say classes. Okay. Now in the second point you have to indicate that whatever money the company is investing or giving as loans and advances, guarantee or security, it is not prejudicial to the interest of the company. That means the decision of investing, the decision of giving loans and advances should not be against the rules of the company, and it should be in the favor of the company only. It should not go against the company or against the interest of the company. Okay. Then in the third point you have to report that in respect of loans and advances, in the nature of loans, whether the schedule of repayment of principal and payment of interest has been stipulated and whether the repayment or receipts are regular. Then also you have to check that whatever loans and advances they are giving, whether they have made a proper schedule of the repayment ki kitne time में पैसा वापस आएगा. Okay. And whether the repayments they are receiving it regularly, because if they will not receive the payments regularly, if they will not receive their repayments, then there are chances that it may become as your debtors may become your bad debts also. Okay. Similarly, it is very much possible that you may not be able to recover your money from the loans and advances, so you have to show accordingly. Okay. So you have to check that whether the company has made a proper schedule and whether it is receiving its repayments regularly or not. Now in the fourth point, suppose the answer of the third point was no, that no, the company is not receiving its receipts regularly. So you have to check if the amount is overdue. If the amount is overdue, state the total amount overdue for more than 90 days and whether reasonable steps have been taken by the company for the recovery of the principal and interest. Suppose in the example of PQR Limited, it has given 10 lakh rupees to suppose ABC Limited. Okay. Now ABC Limited, in the first 3 years, it was regular in its repayment. But now what has happened, from a period of 4 months, the ABC Limited is not paying any receipt. It is neither repaying its principal, neither repaying its interest to PQR Limited. So now there is a period of 4 months. Now what does this indicate? That the amount is overdue for greater than 90 days. 90 days से ज़्यादा हो गए, ABC से कोई पैसा नहीं आया है. So now what? Now PQR Limited should, you have to check that PQR Limited has taken proper steps. भाई उसको पूछना तो होगा ना कि मेरा पैसा वापस क्यों नहीं दे रहे हो. So you have to check that whether PQR Limited has taken reasonable steps to recover its money or not. Okay, or not. Now what happened? The ABC Limited was not able to repay for more than 90 days. So PQR Limited took reasonable steps. Now what ABC Limited has done? ABC Limited is requesting PQR Limited that, dear PQR Limited, my business suffered a lot due to COVID, and please renew my loan. Please renew my loan and I will repay everything. I will repay your old debts also and this new loan also. Okay. Now what is it doing? ABC Limited is compensating its old loan with the new loan. Okay. So in this case also, if whether in any loans and advance in the nature of loan granted which has been failed due during the year has been renewed or extended, or fresh loan granted to settle the overdue of the existing loan, because existing loan is going on. And what is now ABC doing? ABC is freshening up the loan. ABC has renewed the loan. Okay, given to the same parties. If so, now you have to indicate this amount and whether these dues are renewed or extended. So you have to mention in your audit report that what all are the details of it, that what was the extension time period, what is the amount that is overdue, what are the names of parties. So everything you have to indicate. Okay, and the percentage of aggregate to the total loans and advances in nature of loans granted during the year. And this is again now not applicable to the companies whose principal business is for providing loans. Okay, so what is in fifth point? It is that if suppose the amount was overdue for more than 90 days and the company was not receiving its repayment, so it has taken reasonable steps. Now what happened to settle it? Its loans and advances are requesting them to extension or freshen up the loan. Okay, so what are they doing? They are compensating. They are compensating, or you can say they are adjusting their old loans with the new loans. That means they will repay for both the loans, but what they are doing, they are adjusting it. They are adjusting it. They are renewing it. Okay. So whatever are the details, you have to mention it in the audit report. Now the sixth point is whether the company has granted any loans and advances in the nature of loans either repayable on demand or without specifying any terms of period of repayment. Now it is written in this point that you have to check that whether the company has prepared a schedule of repayment or not. Now there may be some chances that your client, that means in our case it is PQI Limited, has not prepared any terms or conditions, or is not prepared any schedule for repayment. So you have to check that whether it is so. That means whether the terms of repayment, terms or period of repayment are not specified, and if it is so, then you have to specify in your audit report that all these loans and advances are given without any terms and conditions of repayment. Okay, so all these kind of loans and advances should be shown separately. Okay, so if so, specify the aggregate amount, percentage thereof of the total loans granted. Aggregate amounts of loan granted to promoters, related parties should also be shown separately, because there are chances that हमारे रिश्तेदार जो हैं or to our relatives, we generally do not tend to move into a proper agreement of terms of repayment or like that. Okay, so you have to separately show it, and you have to specify the amount as accordance with the clause 76 of section number 2. Okay, means all the related parties as per 2 subsection 6 76. So all clause 76, not subsection, section 2 clause 76, according to this section all the related parties are defined, that all those parties which can be called your related parties. Okay, so if it is so that you are giving loans and advances to your related parties as per section 2 clause 76, then you have to specify it separately. Okay, now your fourth clause is about your investments. Now here also we have read in the third clause also we have read the term investment, but what is written here? It is written loans, investment, guarantee and security. They have not discussed anything about advances. So you have to, as an auditor, you have to check that whether all the loans, investment, guarantee and security are as per the provision of section number 185 and 186 of the Companies Act or not, and you have to provide the details thereof. So what is given in section number 185 and 186? That what all the conditions for loans and advances, loans and investments, and what all the are the prohibitions. Okay, so you have to follow all the prohibitions and the conditions. Okay, so you have to check that whether the company is complying with section number 185 and 186 of Companies Act or not. Okay, so in this video we will keep it till here only, and from the fifth clause we will continue in the next part. So in this way, in probably 1 or 2 parts more, I guess 2 parts will be required, or maybe 3, and after that all the clauses will be covered, and after that, if time will permit me, then I will also discuss the questions. Okay, so I'm ending this video here, and if you have any doubts you can feel free to comment down, and also do share it with your friends as it is applicable from May 22 exams onwards. Okay, so I'm ending the video here, and thank you so much.